Hello everyone, today we're gonna talk about why you are still in Herald/Guardian and how to fix it. So the other videos for the other roles are in the top right of your screen and in the description. So if you ever feel like playing another role or you just wanna have a look at my other guides, feel free to just click the little eye on the top right of your screen and you'll find the whole playlist. Okay, to start off with, I'm gonna go over 6 general points about your climb out of Herald and further, hopefully. Okay, so point number 1, you won't get a 100% win rate. You know, this is a thing that took me quite a long time to understand, but it's basically impossible to get to 100% win rate, even if you play perfectly. And you know, I'm gonna tell you the truth, if you even reach close to 70% win rate, you're gonna be out of Herald in a couple of games. So, advice number 2, don't blame your team, because let me tell you something, you are in Herald for a reason. Will you have unwinnable games because of your team? Yes, but will these games be common? No. Whatever you say, you're never gonna have like 10 of these in a row, or probably even 5 in a row. So if you are at a Crusader level, it's only gonna take like a month or 2 to get out of Herald, so keep that in mind. So don't blame your team, that's the main takeaway from this advice. But anyways, advice number 3, don't worry about going party or solo. I'm gonna just cut this one short, it doesn't matter. It basically gains the same amount of MMR, and they both have pros and cons, but honestly, we don't have time to go over that right now. Advice number 4, join a community/get a coach. This is the easiest way to gain MMR in my opinion. Join the Discord in the description, it's not mine, but the coach there is really nice, it's completely free. There are other coaches as well, that's where I got most of my current knowledge. You know, the idea of a coach might sound a bit odd and maybe a bit too like hardcore for you, but honestly you can have a really chill session with a lot of people there. And maybe you don't have a mic, well there is replay analysis, so just do me a favor, go down in the description and check it out. Anyways, advice number 5, climbing from Herald to Guardian is not about learning to master a hero or drafting or any macro concept. It's mainly about fixing your fundamental mistakes in early, mid and late game, which is unsurprisingly the structure of this video as well. And number 6, just enjoy the game. Honestly, do what you enjoy. For example, when I started playing Meepo in Low Guardian, I was told multiple times, maybe even once a day or something like that, to try to stay away from complex heroes. But you know, if you enjoy playing something, I don't care if it's Invoker, just do it. Your MMR might suffer quite a lot if you play a complex hero, but I still recommend it, since they're usually really good for practice. And you know, they can teach super important game mechanics as well, like micromanaging and farming patterns, and just improve your mechanical skill, like with Invoker. So don't be afraid of trying these heroes. They might not be the fastest way to gain MMR, but they are a way to gain experience. That being said, let's get into the actual meat of the video. So, early game, items. Well, most guides work just fine, Rivalry or Immortal Faith or any of these work fine. Just get at least 2 sets of regen and a Quelling Blade if you're a melee hero. And usually you want to pick up Wraith bands on ranged heroes as well. But honestly, you can ignore all that, just follow a guide in the game. So, early game laning. Well, for bounties, feel free to start a fight if you feel that you're stronger than enemy. Usually it's a lot better to play safe than aggressive as a hard carry, since an early death can be the difference between a won and a lost early game. And you can block the creep wave after bounties if you want to, but it honestly doesn't matter at this level. But what matters is that you're near the creep wave when the creeps start hitting each other. You want to be there directly when they hit each other. So there are a lot of things you can do to manipulate the creep wave and such, but honestly it's not needed to climb out of Herald. I honestly think it's wasted time, in my opinion, if your scope is just to get out of Herald. If you want to reach Immortal, then maybe look into it, but honestly that shouldn't be the goal while you're still in Herald. And there is something that is a bit more important, and that is last hitting. You already know this, but net worth is your main stat as a Safelaner. It is honestly the biggest thing you can do to improve, especially in Herald. And you might believe that hey, it doesn't matter, but if you can get just 10% more last hits, just 10%, that's not a lot, that's what you get from just practicing a bit, then you'll probably honestly be able to raise your win rate by at least a couple of percentages, which is a lot in the grand scheme of things. Honestly, before your next game, do what I'm doing on screen right now, follow me, go into the last hit trainer. And I know it's super boring, but it's gonna help a ton. Aim for at least silver, preferably gold, and you'll have decent enough last hitting to be able to climb out of Herald, in my opinion. Again, this is the thing that's gonna make the largest difference for you. There are of course a lot of other things that are Safelane specific, but as with all other cores, the key of getting out of Herald is net worth. Other than that, the laning stage is pretty simple. Just try to get as many last hits as possible without dying. And here's the thing, priority number 1 is always last hits, then comes not dying, and finally kills. You are gonna be worse than the offlaner in terms of stats, so your main goal is just to survive. The balance between jungle and lane is a special one, but in Herald you can boil it down to one sentence, and that is stay in lane until it's not safe for you anymore. And finally remember to set up your items that you're gonna buy on your quick buy by shift clicking them in the shop. And then 5 minutes have passed, it's nighttime. And nighttime, it's honestly basically the same as the laning stage, with the difference is that you can now pressure the tower a lot more with your card. So honestly, don't be afraid of pushing the wave, taking a jungle camp and then going back to lane. If the enemy is diving your tower with just a couple of creeps, go for the kill immediately and try to stun them if you have any stuns, because the tier 1 tower does a lot of damage early on, so forcing them to tank a few extra shots can be the difference between life and death for them, which might say the outcome of the game. But let's talk about the most important part of safe laning, last hits. You should aim for at least 20 last hits in 5 minutes. I know that's a pretty high number, it might seem hard, but if you can get 20 last hits in your lane without dying, you've honestly succeeded. Yes, straight up objectively succeeded as a hard carry in Herald. And that's basically it, just be wary of ganks, because if you manage to get your farm without dying, you'll most likely succeed in winning the team for your game and carrying, which is your job. So let's talk about the mid game. The mid game for a safe lane carry is usually defined by getting our first or second fighting item. The timing of this item is basically the only thing you need to pay attention to in Herald. If you're not certain what timing you should aim for, feel free to just comment your hero and item in the comments and I'll answer. Again, getting this item, whether it's a tiny diffusal blade or a mighty radiance, as early as possible should be your number 1 priority as a safe lane carry. Speaking of priorities, let's go over how your thought process should look like while playing safe lane. So, number 1, push out waves, preferably near your team if you sense a fight starting, so you'll be able to fight with them. Number 2, if a kill presents itself or team fight occurs, feel free to join as long as you stay cautious, because your main priority again is just to not die, especially in the mid game. And third is jungle. If you have nothing else to do, just jungle. If the lane is scary, just jungle. And here's the thing, I could try to explain positioning and try to explain each safe laner's purpose in every fight, but in the end it's mostly about pure experience. You need to be conscious of where you're located in the fights, especially as a hard carry, and what spells you're using for what. If the early game was even, then the game is most likely gonna be decided in the mid game fights. Of course, it's important to always try to have a number advantage. Try to figure out the best ways you can have impact in fights. Is it trying to help your other cores or playing with your support? Finally, let's talk about the late game. If the game goes late, the number 1 priority as a safe laner is always buyback. I can't begin to explain how many games I've won and lost because people didn't have buyback. And just always have buyback. It's a super simple concept and it's gonna help you a lot. And that's basically the most important part of the late game. The late game is your time to shine. It will basically be a skill matchup between you and the enemy team. And that might be scary, but you're the backbone of your team and you need to be able to carry them, honestly. So don't start flaming your team if you lose in the late game, because honestly that's the time where you should shine. But honestly that's pretty much all I have to say about safe lane. Good luck, and I kinda just threw together this video because honestly I just wanna get this series over with, because I have so many other bigger projects and other things I wanna be working on right now, but I felt like, hey, I wanna complete this series and just maybe help out some safe laners trying to get out of Herald. And if you have a replay that you want me to look at, just comment it below and I promise I'll have a look at it and make some comments. But To finalize, thanks for Kyo for lending out a couple of replays I could analyze and use as background footage, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!